Okay. Okay, I think we're live. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Alicia, Becky.
Becky.
We we're besties. We talk about writing and books. I want to talk about my quarter four plans because, as I was just showing Becky, that this is what they are right now. There's nothing. There's nothing there. And I don't know if I told you, but I'm supposed to be in a 6 months to change my life plan. And granted, I've been doing little things here and there the last few weeks, but I have not written anything for me, which is one of my big plans. I haven't worked on my main project that I want to publish by the end of the year. Like, nothing. I've just been like, also to be fair to myself, I don't know if I told you about this either, but I went to get a heart scan. I actually took Jason to get a heart scan too, because my cholesterol is high. So she's like, I want to see what your heart looks like. All right, let's do it. It's got a little bit of plaque in there, which freaked me out because most people our age and our gender do not have any at all. So yay butter for all of those years. Um, and not eating good food, mostly McDonald's and shit like that. But my doctor did just like call me today and was like, so low fat diet, work out 5 days a week. I'm like, cool, just join the Y. Like this is on par with what I've been working on in that plan to begin with. But like
Mhm.
as soon as I saw that I was in like the 90th percentile, like 90% of people my age have better heart than me, and I'm like, okay, well that
Ouch.
sucks. I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but I didn't know what I was going into either. So it doesn't mean like I'm at risk of anything really any more than anybody else is. How much I have is not a lot, but my brain was doing things. And then I'm also like, I had PMS all last week. I finished it, god awful outline. I didn't do shit for myself. So, I have been tracking my food though, which I've been very happy about.
I do that. So I track my fit. I use my Fitness Pal, the free
Mm-hmm.
version, because I don't want to pay for it. Um, and then I also use there's an app called Map My Walk because I walk like 6 days a week. Um, and sometimes it's 2 miles, sometimes it's like 5 or 6 miles. It just kind of depends on the day. And then I have a set of, I don't think you can see them from here, but like over this way, I have a dumbbell rack. So I have a very basic set of dumbbells. So I have a whole routine that I do 3 times a week. So
That's
that's the
good.
whole
I've
thing.
been regular 3 times a week. I would love to walk more. And I have a treadmill. I hate that goddamn thing, but I also can't go outside because I live in a terrible neighborhood without sidewalks. So it's like,
I can't walk on treadmills.
no.
I'm too much of
Mm.
a klutz. I just can't. And like I'm so for those of you who have never met me in person, I'm 6'1". And so I have like a very long stride. And I always feel like I'm either gonna slide off the back or step on the front and then slide off the back. And like it's just messy.
Mhm. There are some really good ones at the Y that I've noticed
Are
for
there?
for tall people. Yes. Um, I think it's funny that when Jason and I and the boy all go to the YMCA, they go to the cardio stuff, so they go to the treadmill and the stair stepper, and I go over to the weights, and I'm like, this is backwards. This feels backwards.
Where we're at right now, like there are, I mean, obviously there's the normal gyms that anybody can pay to have a membership of. Like, and they're all over the place. But we also have a lot of military bases here. So there's a lot of base gyms that I could go to. I don't want to pay for a membership, but also I'm not going to pay for parking, which is everywhere here. And honestly, I just don't like driving here. And then, like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I really should get out more. I should go do these things. But then it occurred to me, like, we're going to be in Japan
Mhm.
in less than a year. And I don't know that I'm going to have those things available to me. Not only like physically, like a physical presence of it, but also like I have tattoos, which
They don't like.
they don't. And so I mean, if you're in Tokyo, yeah, you'll find places that are tattoo friendly, but we're not going to be in Tokyo. So outside of that, I may or may not find somewhere like a gym or a beach or, just places that I can be with my tattoos out and about. So in the meantime, I'll just work out with my weights at home.
I'll send you some of my favorite stuff. I have been working out from home for most of, I mean, since I started 12, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of stuff that I really like. that I will send you. I will send you some stuff. I like home stuff because I don't like going out if I don't have to. But see, going out with both of them keeps me accountable. So like at the same time,
I just don't like being around, like especially when I'm doing something where I feel vulnerable, like working out, because it's not a strength of mine. I don't like being around people.
I get that. But I almost broke my treadmill twice. So yeah, it's old. It's finicky. The one I can't break the ones at the Y either. I also want to try the group stuff. But anyways, that's not what we're supposed to. I mean,
No.
This is part of my quarter 4 plans because I was assigned a low fat diet and 5 days a week of workouts. Like that's my assignment for my doctor. So that is number 1 on the goals for quarter 4. I would really like to just have it be a part of my everyday routine and not even have to think about it anymore by the end of the year. That would be awesome. Like this is what we do on these days.
I have a variety of recipes that I use for dinners, and like they're kind of across different things. So I have like some like low FODMAP type things. I've got, just lower calorie dinners that are pretty good. And I'm probably pretty bad at this. I don't really keep track of anything other than calories. So I can tell you how many of them are actually low fat and how many are not. But
I was at first just keeping track of my calories, and I use Fat Secret, the free version, because it gives you a few more options in the free version of MyFitnessPal, because that's what I used to use. But I have like saved certain meals, and I do high protein because I've noticed, even though that's the fad and everybody's talking about it, I've noticed that I'm not hungry when I do more than 100 grams of protein a day. And I've been tracking. I also weigh absolutely everything I put in me. Like I have a scale, and every time I go to cook, there's that scale, and I'm weighing everything. I mean, there's some things that I can guesstimate. Like I know an average banana is about 108 grams, and so I just put that in every time I eat a banana. Like it's just I don't need to measure it every damn time. But like the thing I just had for dessert was a cottage cheese chocolate protein bowl, which was probably literally about this big, not that deep, and it's half a cup of cottage cheese, protein powder, cocoa powder, coconut sugar, and fresh ground peanut butter with a shell on top.
I've done similar things, but I've done them with ricotta, raspberries, cocoa powder, and just a little bit of like agave syrup.
I haven't done agave syrup before. I just want to look up what the difference between cottage cheese and ricotta is, because I think cottage cheese might be higher in protein, which is why I've been doing that one. Oh my God, did you see my cat?
I sure did.
It's so funny. I get not made fun of, but like lovingly picked on by my friends. But anytime we don't know something, I absolutely have to look it up right then so that we can talk about it in truth versus just guessing like I used to. So, oh my God, become clear for me, would you? It's taking you so long. Okay, yeah, it's actually pretty even. The calories are much less on cottage cheese than it is on ricotta.
Yeah, you got to get the low fat ricotta to get the lower calories. But
I also like to blitz it because I have a hand blender, so that's helpful. It almost comes out like a cheesecake, a chocolate cheesecake.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it does have a slight protein powder flavor to it, but anything with protein powder, and it's going to have a protein powder flavor to it no matter what you do to it. So, I actually want to try the goat milk one that they have. It's supposed to not have the same kind of twang that whey protein has. And I use naked protein, so it doesn't have any additives, no fake sugar, because I can't do fake sugar because it gives me headaches. So it's really yummy. It's the best one of all the ones that I've ever had. And you know me, I'm kind of a food snob. So yes, if I'll eat it, it's probably good for you.
Not picky though. But you're not picky. Like
I like a lot of stuff, but like I like high quality of those things. So yeah, I will eat just about anything. Although I've come to find that that's not necessarily true, because if it is a low quality, I probably won't eat it. I'm like, why am I wasting my calories on this?
Yeah. Unless I plan for it in advance, right? So like if I know that, you know, it's a night where Zach's going to be in class late and I don't feel like cooking, there's a Burger King across the street. So if I'm real careful, I can budget enough to have a double cheeseburger for dinner and call it good.
I usually do chicken strips because protein. And I skip the fries. I just get a bigger thing of chicken strips.
Yeah, I stopped getting the fries because they're so calorie. But so other than health goals,
Yeah.
what are you hoping to focus on for the next quarter?
I think the thing I should really work on is the goal I've had all year. So even before my 6-month challenge, I wanted to finish editing this book. It's written. I've read through it and I've separated it and all the stuff. Now I just need to do my word list, which, and then I need to read it out loud to my mother and my husband. And then I can publish it. I have a cover for it already. I need to blurb it, which I hate doing that shit too. But the word list, if I could get past the word list, it would be like over the hump. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because reading it to my mom is fun. Now that I've had her listen to audiobooks for the last couple years, like she starts to pick things out just listening to it. And I kind of ruined her for her audiobooks, unfortunately, because I say things, I make comments when we listen to them together, and I'm like, that word again. And she starts noticing when people like repeat certain words, and if like the character falls flat, or if there's an inconsistency. She found an inconsistency in Laurel K. Hamilton's the first book of the Anita Blake series. She found an inconsistency I didn't find when I read it.
I found a few with hers, which like, and even in some of her much more recent ones, and I kind of get a little like surprised every time I find something, because I'm just like, you know, she's not a small name author, and you know, she's got a team that works to polish her, you know, her product. And so like every time I find out, I'm like, all right, which one of your team dropped the ball? Like, because you know, you are not me, you are not your debut self over here, like,
right. The one that she found was a rather big one where she like crashed her car, but then she drove to the cemetery later, like a couple chapters later in the first book. I'm like, that's pretty fucking big.
So the one that immediately comes to mind to me, I forget which book it is. It's one of the newer ones. Want to say the one where they go to Ireland. I don't remember the name. She misnamed the character. Yeah, but I guess I mean they have so many people in the circle. And they were both D names, and she was talking to one about the other. So talking to A about B, and misnamed A by calling them B, or something like that. And I was like, oh.
Did I ever tell you that I was reading one of my professor's books at Plattsburgh, and right before class I came up and I was like, Dr. Gasninus, I found you used the wrong character right there. He was like, holy crap. I'm like, I just want to let you know if you want to write your people about that, to get that changed. The next printing or whatever. Because apparently you can do that when you find typos and all sorts of other things. You can email and they might do that on the next run, depending on how big the author is, if there's going to be a next run and that kind of stuff. I say it's okay for like 1 or 2 typos in a traditionally published book per book. I mean, we're all human. We're not perfect.
Right.
And we miss things.
And we're all striving really hard to keep AI out of our work altogether. So
yes, and honestly, AI doesn't help all that much. But because I've used some of the AI programs to double check me after I've edited, and I'm like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Well, and the thing is, like, it also doesn't account for stylistic choices either, or voice, or, you know, anything that goes along with it. So it misses a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because, you know, mistakes can be there intentionally for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But
like a fragment. Yeah.
Or like, you know me, I'm super fond of a lot of commas and run-on sentences. Like,
I work with when I edit my writing friend Betty Ann's her stuff. She's got a style where she's got comma splices. She uses comma splices, and that's something that, and so I don't change those when I edit hers because that's part of her style. So,
yeah.
um,
I use commas for anywhere that I think like if if my characters are having a conversation out loud and there's a slight pause, like to inhale, but the pause isn't big enough to emphasize by saying that they paused, I just throw a comma in there.
oh, you're gonna watch me delete so many commas.
I know. It's fine.
Usually, if there's a pause, I might use an ellipses for in the middle of it. If you don't need like the M dash brackets with the he or she paused, I like ellipses for that because commas they're not a feeling. They're directions on how to read a sentence.
So. I know, but they translate that way in my head.
I know. I had so many freshman English students who are like, you put a comma when you pause, right? No, no, you do not. They do not tell you to stop and breathe at all. That is not what they're for.
Where the hell did we all collectively come up with the idea that was what that was for? I don't understand.
I don't know either. Honestly. And like the comma before because, there's no fucking comma before because. Why do so many people learn how to do that? Why do they teach that in high school? I remember being taught, maybe not even high school, probably before that. I remember being taught to put a comma before because. No, 99% of the time, no comma before because.
Right. Because most of the time, if you put a comma there, you don't need the because. You don't need that joining.
Because is a coordinating conjunction on its own, like it does the work of the comma itself. Yeah. So it drives me absolutely fucking bonkers. I have so many pet peeves from being both an English teacher and an editor and a writer. So many pet peeves. Anyways, not the topic today. We should talk about that someday though, because I'd love to unpack that with you and see what yours are. Oh my goodness, Kitty. What are you doing?
Think about that. Like I'll sit down and like make a list. But if you give me too much time to think about it, I'll not only make a list, I'll come up with a spreadsheet and like detail like what the ranking are and why they make me mad. And
I mean, let's get geeky about it. I'm here for it. So maybe we can talk about that next week. We can talk about some trigger stuff. In books.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna write that down because I have a good one. And you know what? I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this. I'm not gonna bring it up now because we're on a roll, but I have a good one.
Good. I think all of mine are good, but that's because well, you're writing that down. I would like to finish. I would like to have this book ready to publish by the end of the year, and I think it's doable.
It's so funny that you say that because I was thinking about, as I was.
Go ahead. I dinged. You're fine.
No, I thought it was funny. I heard you ding and I heard a kid, and I was like, wait a minute. It's funny that you said that that's one of your goals though, because for me, and like when I first started writing this book, like I wasn't sure what to expect time-wise, because it just, it came to me a lot differently than any of my projects in the past. Mm-hmm. And so I think I'm at a point right now where I think my goal for the rest of this quarter is, I think I want to be at the point where I'm ready to talk to you about hiring you to do edits. Rather, like I'm not like, I don't want to be completely done with revisions and edits, because I think that's putting a little bit too much, on the plate, with some other things that I want to get into. But also, like, I don't want to just fall into that trap of, I'll get to it later. Oh, it'll happen later. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was really good in the last week about keeping myself accountable and writing every single day. So I did manage that. I have not written anything today because today I was running errands all day. And then my kids made me mad, so I hid with my dinner in my bedroom.
Oh goodness, that's hilarious. How much do you average a day now?
Depends on the day. So last week I was holding pretty steady at between like 300 and 500 a day, but I had one where I knocked out like 1,400 words and
those days.
stopped because I had to go pick up Taylor. And then trying to write when the kids are home is always, kind of a crapshoot, whether they're going to give me the space, because like even the last office space that we had back in California, we had a door.
You
don't have a door. No. So like, see this half wall back here behind the couch, that's the stairway that goes downstairs, and there's no door here or down there. So
yeah, boo. Can't lock them out.
No.
Lock yourself in the bathroom with your laptop. Does that work with the kids at the ages they are? Can you lock yourself in the bathroom? I know when they're really little, you can't really do that.
So Taylor is like a pit bull and doesn't like go of things. So she has it in her head that she needs me or wants me or has a question or just wants to have a conversation or whatever the case may be. She won't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Which, does interrupt me from time to time, but also like I don't want to discourage that either.
Right, I get that. I do get that.
He'll pretty much entertain himself, but if he gets bored, he'll come up here, flop down on the couch, and glare at me until I suggest something that he thinks he might want to do, which he doesn't want to do any of the things that I ever suggest, so he just sits there and glares at me.
Does he like was it cross-stitching?
Embroidery. He does, but I think he's stuck on the one that he's working on. You know what's funny about that? It's like before I left California, my photography mentor and friend gave me.
That's awesome.
Like I haven't even touched it since we left California. There's just been too much going on, but yeah. Anyway, so I'm so off topic tonight. I think being ready to start with the edits, like the real serious edits, at the end of the year is the goal as far as the writing goes, and I'm hoping by the time I finish the first draft, or at least have started revisions, I'll have an idea on where I want to go for book 2.
You missed the dumb, that is that cat right there, who tried to climb into this and it fell over with him in it.
That's hilarious.
Because the box underneath is also an empty box on its side. So that's my monster kitty. He got his name because he's a monster. A quite lovable, cute monster sometimes. When he was a kitten, oh my goodness, he just would not stop at all.
I haven't had a monster animal in a while because Odin, my pit bull that just passed away in April, he was really mellow. So my last like real jerk of an animal was Max, the German Shepherd. And him, my nickname for him, which is funny calling him a nickname because it's much longer than his regular. His name was Max. I called him Pain in the Assimus Maximus.
I remember this.
Yeah.
So. Definitely a pain in the ass. Not mean or anything, but just a lot of the time.
So yeah, so I think finishing enough to be ready for edits, continuing on my fitness journey, and I'd really like to get a few new photography projects in, like not weddings or any major events or anything, because I do a lot better photographing things that don't have heartbeats and opinions.
Absolutely. I still need to hear about how that wedding went, but among the bookish stuff, do you have any reading goals? Because I know I had several reading goals at the beginning of the year, and who knows what that happened.
I've never been one to really set like reading goals per se, but I don't know. I've been kind of in a weird reading funk lately, and I mean, it's strange because, in the last just over a year and a half, I've gone through periods where all I want to do is read because it helps me escape. And then I'll go through periods where everything I pick up, I'm like, that's not enough. Like, it's just not enough to fall into. And I know that it's not like the fault of the book or the author, it's in my own head. So trying to get around that has been difficult. So I don't really set any like reading goals. I think like it's a very loose idea for a goal, maybe would be to just find something to get me back into reading a little bit more casually than I have been in the last year and some change, because I want to be able to enjoy a story just to enjoy it without having to like
dissect it and
without having to jerk myself back to reality every time I put it down, you know?
I just got to do that yesterday with, or the day before with a book. Yeah, the day before yesterday. So Sunday. And then I read like 78% of a book, and then I finished it on Monday morning. Because Sunday's my day off. Like I have to go shopping. I clean, but usually the second half of my day is for me to do whatever. If I have a project to do around the house, or if I have something else to do here. I had a launch this weekend as well, like Friday, Saturday through Wednesday. I have a launch for one of my businesses that I work for. So I did that on Sunday as well, but I also mostly listened to a book all day, and it was like just a contemporary romance. One Golden Summer by, what was it, Carly Fortune, I think. Her name's been popping up a lot more here lately, but I just enjoyed the show. And I usually do, like, a contemporary romance is one of those ones that I can read between all of my intense fantasy books that I like to read. And I'm just like, I know how this is going to end. It's going to be a happily ever after. I don't worry about shit. Oh, they're yelling at each other. They broke up. They'll get back together. I don't care. So I can like just fucking enjoy it. Although when I read those books, I'm going to talk about one of my pet peeves right now that claims it's a romance. And it doesn't, one, end in a happily ever after, or two, is a breaking up of a relationship and they like go through all this trauma, and then the last chapter they find a romantic partner. That's not a fucking romance either. Don't give me that bullshit. That's women's fiction. And I will read that if I'm prepared for it, but if you try to claim it's romance and I go into a thing and it's a romance, it's not, I'm gonna fucking downgrade you some stars. Like, that's gonna happen.
You know what's funny though is that like I just watched a video. There's a woman I follow on TikTok. She's an editor. Her name is Gina. And she had gotten a question from a follower asking, I forget exactly what it was, but it's something to do about comp titles. And basically it boiled down to, you need to read more, because chances are if you're not finding any comp titles, you're reading in the wrong genre, and the book that you wrote is not the genre that you think it is. And that really kind of like rang true with me. And like, you and I will sidebar about this probably quite a bit. But the story that I'm working on now is not going in the direction that I thought it was going to go in. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to shift the mentality a little bit on subgenres and where that.
I'm going to tell you right now, don't worry about it yet. Write the story that you're going to write, and then we'll figure out where it fits.
Yeah, no, I know. I just like, that popped up in my head when she was, in that video when she was talking about it. And I was like, oh, right. Yeah. There's a tree growing out of her head. Sorry, I have wedding pictures pulled up and I just realized that one of the groom's daughters has a tree growing out of the back of her head. And the other one has some sort of a gazebo growing out of the back of her head. But I'm really not good with Photoshop. So they're going to stay there.
Canva. If you need me to take out some backgrounds for you, just let me know. I have Canva Pro, and I can get rid of the background real quick. That makes me think of another discussion we should have at some point, is to strictly just like have a conversation about tropes. Because I feel like tropes are the selling point of books right now. Like, that's how people are marketing what their books are. And it doesn't really matter like what category or genre it is, but like enemies to lovers, you know what's gonna fucking happen in that book.
Which drives me crazy. I honestly, I kind of hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that is how that is. You know what?
As a reader or as a writer?
As a reader.
Really?
As a reader. Yeah, and it kind of goes into the other thing that I was talking about earlier about something that irks me. And you know what? I'm going to write this down too because we will get into this on a whole different thing. But trope marketing. I feel like from an author standpoint, I don't want to ever be an author that thinks, oh, I want to sit down and write an enemies to lovers, or I want to sit down and write a, who did this to you, or, whatever the popular tropes. I don't want to think that way because I feel like that limits the creative process significantly. And I know that that's not the same for everybody, but for me personally.
And I can understand why, because I pretty much ghostwrite based off tropes.
Right.
But that also helps it write itself. So, because it does kind of write itself.
To be fair though, like as a ghostwriter, because it's, somebody else's, book, you got to kind of know what your right and left limits are, and tropes will help you do that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, like if I had sat down and thought to myself at the beginning of the story that I'm writing now, like I want to write
arranged
a miscommunication trope. Arranged marriage, miscommunication. I want to write those tropes. This would have gone in a very, very different direction. And I think that I would have not wound up doing things like putting as much thought into the world building, or I think, doing that, I would have focused solely on the interpersonal relationships and lost touch with bigger picture, which almost happened a little bit anyway at one point, but managed to pull back out of that, and it kind of wound up working because like I said, there is a portion of the book where they're struggling to find balance with each other, so really focusing on that was important. But as a reader, I don't think that I have ever thought to myself walking into a bookstore or opening Amazon or whatever the case may be, like I really want a pregnancy trope today. Like,
but some
do people really do that? Like, I don't
want that. I don't know how many times that's been a trope in my ghost. Like every single time, it's been a trope in my ghostwriting thing. And
I think another problem,
and I don't get it, but I write it.
I think another thing with that drives me crazy is like it's not like you kind of get to a point where when you hear you see a title as or somebody's on TikTok or whatever and they're talking about a title and they're like, oh, these are all the tropes, or when an author's marketing their own book and trope. Well, what the fuck did you leave me to read? I just know what's going to happen in your story now based on everything you just pointed to in your video.
A good writer will have enough complexity in it that it's not just the trope. Because I know I'm reading right now.
It goes beyond that though, and I think that is just poor marketing.
It's not the kind of marketing for readers like us, but we also know what we like. And we're willing to try things, and we're willing to put things down if they're not for us. But I feel like it's pretty easy to look at a description, to look at a cover, to look at some of the reviews, and even read the sample and know if I'm going to like a book or not. Like I know pretty quick if I'm going to like a book or not. But I think for the majority of readers, that's not not necessarily the truth. I mean, there's a big group of readers like us, but for the people that a lot of writers are marketing toward, the ones that we want to get to read our book are the ones who only read 12 books a year.
Yeah.
Right. So you want them to spend that money on the book knowing that they're going to get something that they may not have read all of the things that have done this over and over and over and over again, like I have exhaustively, or like you have exhaustively. And so like you kind of know the little nuances that people are going to do. It's hard to surprise you, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to be the same. That's true for the people who, again, read 12, who read 40 books a year versus people who read hundreds of books a year. And hundreds of books have come out every year. So like if you are one of those readers, I like enemies to lovers, I'm more willing to pick something up that says that because I already know I've had good experience with it. So like if you think about it in the broader sense of we're not just pitching to readers like us, because that's a much smaller market. And having to think about it in the business aspect versus as a reader or a writer, I hate this kind of thing. After years of trying to market and failing, trying to market to me, I have to get over, like, this wouldn't work on me, so it's probably going to work on the vast majority of other people.
I feel like, to some extent, the blurb has almost become, because of the trope marketing and the video marketing, like the back cover blurb has become irrelevant. And to me, I think that's what the problem is for me, because I like to read the back cover blurb and get a sense of what is the voice, who are the characters, what is the scenario, not just 2-word tropes, which I'm going to pick up on a lot of those reading the blurb anyway. But I want that little bit of a sample of the story, not just,
Yeah.
a list of tropes, which kind of drives me nuts. But
I totally get you. But that's also how people search on like Amazon. And I think that comes from the keyword searching versus going to a bookstore and just looking around at stuff and only having the blurbs like we grew up reading, going to the library and looking at the back of the book.
Yeah.
Because we have Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and all of the very searchable search engines in order to find the books that we want. I think that's what's turned it into that, is we're doing keyword searches for things we like. So I'm going to look
Which
for
makes total sense, and even from a marketing standpoint, it makes total sense. I just feel like you lose something there. And I don't really know how to put this without sounding bitchy, but I feel like it sort of like cheapens the experience of discovering the story.
I was actually just going there in my head as well, because when you don't get that, like if you pick up the book and you're like, ooh, I wonder if this is an enemies to romance or like whatever, or enemies to lovers, and you get a third of the way through it and you're like, oh, I bet I'm right, without it being confirmed
right
in advance for you. Like, I do understand that we're missing that kind of thing. And it does create certain kinds of expectations for a book too. Like, I was reading one of my read-along books for work, and it was a enemies to lovers, was it Dramini story?
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was a standalone, so I was like predicting, I'm like, okay, this has to happen by this point, and this has to happen at this point for it to be a true one of these. And then I realized it was a duology, and I'm like, well, so that throws everything off in the timeline that I was predicting things were going to happen in. So like, yeah, knowing all of those things kind of ruins part of the story, and like you can make it formulaic, and a lot of the time it does become that in both the marketing, the reading aspect, but also like the writing part of it too can become.
Well, and I also feel like, it's really easy to skimp on a trope, but put just enough in there that you can particularly with enemies to lovers, this is a really big hot topic right now. And I think that it matters because, you'll see a lot of like, lukewarm rivalry that doesn't really make any difference. There's no stakes to it at all. And, they're dating by chapter 6. Like, that's not enemies to lovers, but, they
marketed that way.
Yeah, they get marketed that way. And as a reader, as a writer, as somebody who has a degree in marketing, it just kind of makes me want to bang my face on the table. Like,
yeah. I think when it's not used well, it makes it even worse. What'd you hear?
Footsteps. So I was checking the time because Taylor's got downtime scheduled on her tablet. So usually if she's not asleep by 9:30, she's coming up those stairs so that I can put the password in. Because I'm a sap and a lazy mom. But
I think you got a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's only 8:54. But the trope marketing thing, that's one that I will never jump on the bandwagon with.
I always said I would never do the naked chest, the ab covers. that I would never, I will totally do that. I don't give a fuck. If it's going to sell my book, I do not give a fuck anymore. You know what? Being a writer is like halfway to being a whore. You got to whore yourself out somehow. And if it's putting a chest on the cover, then that's what I'm going to do.
I don't know. I just, even if I'm on TikTok marketing a book, I don't think I would ever do the here's my list of tropes. Like
Ooh, I see.
I knew I heard footsteps. Hi. What's the matter, human?
Nothing. Just bored.
It is almost 30 minutes past your bedtime, miss.
Come on. No. You have to do it.
After what happened at dinner, you want to come up here and talk to me about dessert? Have you lost all your wits? All of them. No.
Please.
Fuck your dad.
Please.
I love you. Are you ever going to take these down and put them with your turkeys?
Oh, about that? I don't know.
I love you.
Love you too. But Mom, how do you feel? What's that phone up?
I'm a mom.
How do you? 5 more minutes.
I'll take that 5 minutes in your room, not up here. I love you. Bye. Here.
Yay!
All right. Good night. I love you. You have the big one. I don't know what's good with it. Did you leave it down in the living room on the first floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I will get it.
Sure, but then go to bed. I love you. Good night.
That was a good break. It kept us from going on a tumble down tropes further. It's not what we're supposed to be talking about today, but we got ranty.
We did get ranty.
Vector, I know you said that you're not like TBR reader, but do you ever save books specifically for like the holidays to read? Spooky season, October, November, Christmas books in December. Do you have anything on your list that you're like, that's coming, or I want to read that during that time of the year? I'm not always like that. Like I'll read a Christmas book in June. I don't really give a shit, but I'm just wondering.
Not so much that I specifically earmark them for specific times of year, but I am almost 100% unlikely to go pick up a Christmas book in July.
I don't care.
And that's I was thinking about that recently, actually, and just because the whole Christmas in July thing was really big for some reason this year, but I don't, and not that it was even up until I started thinking about it in the front of my head, it was never even really a conscious thing. It just it occurred to me once it popped up this year. I was like, I just have never read one out of season. Now, I might there have been a couple of times where so over the last several years we've spent many of those Thanksgivings doing a big family Vrbo or Airbnb with my in-laws and just a big family thing, which is great. And then you get moments of downtime where we're just kind of doing their own thing, and so I might just decide, what, I want a new book, and that might be a seasonal one that comes along. But I do keep a list of books that I'm potentially interested in on Amazon. I built a whole wish list for it. But what's funny is I had almost 60 books on it. And I went through and deleted almost all of them.
Really? Just weren't interested anymore?
So a lot of them were things that, had come across my For You page. Whether it was readers, reviewers, or authors talking about a book, and it would just pop up constantly and be like, you know what, I'm gonna check this out. So I read the things on the TikTok, and then I go and I read the blurb on Amazon, and I'm like, that could be interesting, so I'll save it. And then I might go back before I buy it, and I'll go down and check out the reviews, or I'll look at comments just to kind of see what people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do that when I first started getting onto Book Talk, I did not do that. It was I saw something I liked it, and I would just go buy the book and read it. And I'd say somewhere around 75 to 85% that I did that with, I did not finish them.
I will put a book somewhere and wait on it. And if I come back and I'm still interested, I might buy it. But I'm also like a freebie whore, like library. I library it out most of the time. So like TikTok books I don't find on the library. So it doesn't really matter.
All of those like one-click buy readers.
Have you
but
thought
my
about
husband-
Kindle Unlimited?
Thought about it, decided against it. But part of it is that, you know, my husband's a bit of an enabler. So if I'm spending a whole lot of money on books, his whole thing is there's worse things he could be spending it on. And given that in the last couple of years I quit cigarettes and I quit vaping, I've also, with the rare exception of one of these every now and then, I've quit soda.
Nice.
Yeah.
All
But yeah, no, a lot of them, like, I get them and I start reading, and like first 50 pages, I'm like, pretty sure by that point I know whether or not I'm going to finish the book, you know. And there have been some where I've had a couple that were series that I've made it through the first couple of books, and I'm just like, I can't do it. Because either the writing was flat, the characters were flat, there was no differentiation of voice between the characters. There's one in particular that's becoming really popular recently that I just could not fucking stand the main lead, the female lead. I just
drop that
didn't like.
in a text to me or something so that I know what book you're talking about if you don't want to blast it here. Because I want to know what book this
It's the Plated Prisoner series. I just couldn't stand her character.
I've never even heard of this. What the fuck? Of course, I don't TikTok.
So disappointed. And it wasn't just the main character. She irritated me, but it was the collection of all the secondary and tertiary characters that, like, there were so many of them that just seemed hell-bent on making evil decisions for people. And I'm just like, it was just so, like, you had to suspend so much reality in it. And I understand what the author was doing with the character arc with the main character, but it shouldn't take 5 books to fucking do it.
Okay. I have seen this before, Guild. It's on my list in the library, actually. So, makes me wonder if, like, I keep skipping over it. So, that might be telling me something. Is it YA or?
No.
Oh, it says perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas. That is not me. So.
It's not perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if I ever came up with that comparison, but good God.
I don't know. Whenever someone puts that on there, that's usually a turnoff for me. So I hate to say it.
Yeah, it's not a query letter. You don't need comps on the book.
That's another marketing thing that's very big too, is to put the comparable books.
I know it is, but that's one that drives me nuts, because now you're standing on somebody else's shoulders in an attempt to make money, and that pisses me off. But yeah, no, I mean, I like that was one series that you ever get into a series and you get a few books in and you just get really frustrated because there was a lot of potential and there was a really unique idea, and you really wanted, and there were a couple of characters that were really holding it together, and you were really excited to see what happened with those couple of characters, but everything else about it just really irritated the shit out of you. That's what that series did.
Hamilton, Anita Blake series.
Yeah. I stuck with that one just because at this point I've been invested in reading it for so damn long that I'm like, I'm going to stick with it till he stops, I die, or she dies. Like, that's it. There's no other option.
Sherilyn Kenyon also had the same.
I feel like I outgrew, because like I got into Sherilyn Kenyon and like Christine Feehan, like, and I still, like, to this day, you know, like, really enjoyed their work. I feel like as I got older, it just wasn't a good fit for me anymore.
Maybe that's my issue is that I started reading them a couple years ago, like Christine Feehan. I read the first book of hers a couple years ago, and then I had to read one for my read along because all of my customers were like, yes, I want that book. And I was like, if I could have DNF'd this, I would have DNF'd it after chapter 1.
Which one was it?
You had asked me that. I should know this. I sold the damn book, but I tried to put it out of my brain so badly.
Because she has a few series, and there were a couple of them that I really liked, but there were some of them that, like, even being a fan of hers and understanding her writing, like I would read a couple of her series, and I'm like, I just have no idea what the hell is going on here.
I feel like Dark Hope was that?
Oh, the Dark series. Yeah. Okay.
It was like book 26 in a series, and I read the first one in that series. I also didn't like it.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of those particular books.
I don't like the way she writes. So
yeah.
I think I told you last time.
I forget what it was off the top of my head, but she had a series that I did really like. But again, I had the whole series, and I went to go back and read it again later, and I was like, it didn't stay with me. It
melds with a certain like age, I feel like. Yeah. I'm trying to think of which other ones I've seen of hers that have been really popular. Ghostwalker series, I've seen a lot of those.
Ghostwalkers, there's hang on. See, now
Shadow Riders.
So there was the series that she wrote. What's the name of the series? Seven Sisters, and they're all witches. Sea Haven, I think it was called.
Okay.
I kind of I enjoyed those ones when I was much younger. But if I were to sit here and think critically about some of the characters now, some of the books in that series I would go back and reread. Some of them I would not.
Okay. That's understandable.
Yeah, and then she did a continuation of that using the whole found family trope for a spin-off series. And then did another spin-off series off of that, and that second spin-off series was the motorcycle series that she did.
We're getting tangenty again, but that's okay. So my take on this is you're probably going to mood read. That's generally how you do it. You know, I play a TBR game every month because I'm a fucking weirdo and a dork.
I don't even know what's on my TBR right now. I have no clue because I haven't read anything in a while.
You know,
I've been in a funk.
What's terrible is this is my TBR for the month, which I still haven't put up my game. I haven't checked anything off on my actual TBR, which is this for my game. The 4 books that I've read, none of them.
Look, okay, I have been so disgruntled with where I've been getting book recommendations from that I went and titled it books ... I
got one for you. Read Voyage of the Damned, because I loved that book. It was my favorite book last year.
I know you've recommended that to me, and I can't remember why I didn't get Reading Funk.
I swear
looked at every title that had been recommended to me, either by somebody personal or just that I stumbled across, and I just went
talking about voice, right? Like consistency of voice.
Yeah.
This character's
voice. On my TBR. I added it back in June.
Is so much fun. Like he's got such a consistent voice, and like all of the characters have very specific. And this is I recommended this one to you because of the way the clans were set up across the country and the hierarchy and the politics, and I thought that was really cool. But the main character is like a fat queer boy who loses his only friend / love at the beginning of this tormentorous trip he's got to take because he's one of the chosen one. But his power hasn't come to him, so his dad keeps pretending to be like that his son has his powers so that they can keep their seat of power or whatever. And that there's a whole story arc there, but like the just the quirky weirdness of this character is very in line with the kind of quirky I like to be around. So I feel like you would enjoy it too, like just the character in general. Like putting up a map and calling it, oh, I don't remember, it was like Dee's diagram of death or something like that. So there's like stupid shit like this, right? But the consistency throughout and the actual growth and the character that's put into this, as well as the world building that's necessary for them to have all these interactions with each other, is consistent. And that's something I generally appreciate, is that that characters aren't flip-flopping out of nowhere. And I think you would appreciate that as well. Another recommendation I have, if you haven't read it yet, is Sunshine. Robin something. Who wrote Sunshine? It's a vampire story. Robin McKinley. It is not what you would expect from a vampire novel.
Why is it sparkly?
So good.
Why is it sparkly?
It's sparkly?
It's the cover is sparkly.
Well, Sunshine, her name is Sunshine because she literally like gets energy. Not, I don't know if it's like specifically like energy in a metaphysical way, but like she feels more powerful in the sun. And her name is Sunshine. Like that's her nickname is Sunshine. So there's no sparkly vampires. There is a brooding vampire in there, but
okay. The Kindle cover is much different.
Okay. Girl in a red dress and like with chain. It's a good book too. It surprised me with how good it was. It was one of my other favorite reads last year. But if you need book recommendations, girl, I read like 10 to 12 books a month. So come to me. If you're stuck, I'll try to find you one that will fit your mood if I can do it. Because I've read a lot of books here lately.
So that's the problem, is that because I am a mood reader and like my moods have been very mercurial. Like there's not a lot of stability happening inside of me right now. And I think part of what broke me a little bit with reading was like I kept seeing reviews and recs for Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros over and over again. And of course I was like, dragons and love dragons. Mm-hmm. And so I was really interested, but at this point had gotten so frustrated with online recommendations that I was like, you know what, let me investigate her as an author and see just, if I think this is going to be worth it.
Did you start it?
So, yeah, I blew through the three. But what I did first was I picked up one of her contemporaries.
Oh, you told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. And so that was
There's no trigger warnings for that.
Well, so that's a whole different issue, and we'll get into that another time. But and I understand why there was no trigger warning for what happened in that book, because it's the twist. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd be pissed if I came out with a new book and somebody was like, like right on the book's page, like, here's the trigger warning, here's the plot twist. Like, what the fuck? I get it. So I understand. But that was very nearly my very first and only Rebecca Yarros, because that shit fucking destroyed me. It was the last letter. And, for anybody watching, and, it's pretty common knowledge in my life. Like, I lost my oldest daughter a little over a year and a half ago in a car wreck. And I'm giving you a spoiler alert warning. So in 3 seconds, yes, in 3 seconds, 3, 2, 1. There is later in the story in that particular book a scene about child loss, and my stupid ass read this book 4 months after my daughter died.
I can see you being wary of books after that.
Yeah. And not just that, but like it had like those extra layers in it too, because it's, not to say that it's a military romance, but it involves like, a military connection and the emotional impact that comes with that and how that affects, a family back home, which, I'm a veteran myself. I've been married to a soldier for almost 2 decades. Like it's so it was a very multi-layered way to, just kind of rip my guts out for no good fucking reason. And so yeah, it's been like, and then from there I pivoted. I think that was actually when I turned around and started reading Court of Thorns and Roses because I needed a massive distraction. And Hannah's best friend was actually telling me like, hey, she was like, Mom, she was like, I know you told me you're not really a fan of hers, but because, the whole Turner Class thing, I had started and didn't finish the series back then. She was like, go ahead and, read this. It'll take your mind off of it. And it did, and then I think it was like November last year, I finally decided to pick up Fourth Wing. And so blew through that. And it's funny. What I found absolutely hilarious was I sat down and I read Fourth Wing and then Iron Flame, and then found out that my husband, who does not read romantasy, had already read them.
Really? Really? Did he enjoy them?
Yeah. Of course, he picks apart all the military decisions, but
of course he would. That's what he does. So
Mhm.
It's like me picking out all the grammar issues. It's what we do. But that's hilarious.
Mood reading for me has gotten to be.
I have a recommendation for him that I would love to know if he would enjoy. Let me go find the actual name of it though, because it's a book that I've recommended to Jason several times, and it's one of those epics. Like, I don't generally like epic stories, but this epic was done in a way that is how I feel epics should be done. It's a sci-fi. It's like I'm gone. The Strong, the Dead, and the Beautiful. Or no, the Strong. Hold on. Beautiful book. I'm not gonna watch me not be able to find it this way. No, of course not. I will find it and I will share it with you later. But it's essentially like it's pre-apocalypse, during the apocalypse, after the apocalypse kind of thing, right? And you are in the moment with the characters, and then you transition to a new place and time, new characters, and it's commenting back on what happened before and setting up what's going to happen next. And then you're in another section, and then another section, and you're in the end where pretty much the world has fallen apart and it's a new world again, but it's about to fall apart all over again because of all the shit that happened before. Like, it's just beautifully connected, and you care about the characters because you're not in this weird omniscient or you don't have distance between you and the characters you're reading about, like most epics do.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm thinking about the world and we're going to hop over here and over there and we're going to learn things. You learn about the world through those characters in that one moment in time before you move on to the next one. And I thought it was brilliantly done.
I think that's actually why I decided to write my current project from a first person point of view. Like, which is funny because for most of my life, I've been a third person. Like, even though I always escape it. I don't know. It's weird. I always preferred third person, but I found myself writing in first from so far dual points of view. I may add a couple of chapters, and we'll talk about that, but I may add a couple of chapters from other points of view. But I wanted it to be very
character focused?
Very much an experience of discovery, because neither of them, with the exception of a couple of trips to a very specific area when they were younger, neither of them have ever left the capital city. So, they've studied, they've done the whole Royal Academy thing, but never got to experience, they don't know firsthand what pine smells like in a mountain, or, what humid ocean air feels like in a semi-tropical place, or they don't understand the frigid nature of the Southern Sea. And again, things that you can read about, but unless you've stood there, unless you've smelled the things and touched the things and tasted the food, you won't get it.
Right.
I wanted it to be very much an experience of discovery.
More immersive than Okay, so when I talk about not liking epics, I don't know if you've read Dune.
I have not.
Fucking hated Dune so much because it wasn't omniscient, like in the fact that they like head hop and stuff.
Mhm.
But in the fact that like we get this chapter from who our main character is, and then we slip into this other chapter where the bad guy is revealing who he is in the first third of the book, which is revealed to that character later in like Act 3. And I'm like, why did you ruin that for us why didn't you just keep that a mystery and keep us in his head and not reveal that to us so early? Like a fucking asshole. Like that's just bad storytelling.
Right.
So, but I find that a lot of epics do that kind of shit, and it drives me batty. So, that's what I'm referring to generally when I don't like that we get too much information. I like the immersive kind. I just consider that usually more high fantasy than epic.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does, yeah. And I have I have a prologue, and I know that there's a lot of debate right now on whether prologues should be a thing. But I think I meet the criteria here because it's not from the same point of view. It's a totally different time set. It's in a different location. It's different people, and it's a very different mood, right, than most of the story. Like it doesn't.
Are people arguing about prologues?
Oh yes.
Prologues, like leave it alone. If it's a prologue, just leave it alone. You mean like whether it should be chapter 1 or a prologue?
Yeah. Whether it should be a chapter, whether it should be included or not, like there's
whether you should read them. Yes, if
Yeah.
something's written in the
Yeah.
fucking story, read it.
That's actually part of the debate, whether or not it's worth reading. Like
you can't get them to read. Why won't you read? Sorry. Jason was doing it to me earlier because I didn't read something on an app I downloaded to go to the Y. He's like, you read. Why didn't you read it? I'm like, it was a fucking app. I downloaded it. It worked. Why was I questioning it?
I feel like skipping a prologue is like if you went to go see a movie, and you know how the big thing now is you've got a whole scene before the opening credits and the title scene.
Mm-hmm.
If you just every time you go to a movie, if you just deliberately time it so that you show up at the title scene and nothing before.
It's missing the prologue. Yeah, absolutely. And I know like what you're talking about criteria wise, yes, like it should not be part of the direct main story. It should be something that precedes it, or like even a flash forward in time could be a prologue or whatever, but something outside of the normal story arc that we're going to get for the rest of the book.
It should be abnormal enough to make you feel uncomfortable when you flip into chapter 1.
And you're like, how does
there
this
should be
match?
some cognitive dissonance there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Or to set something up, because I know I have a prologue in one of my books that is a dream of my main character in her past life with the person she's just pretty much been like, who owns her now. And then she wakes up with that dream in her mind and she's like, you're that fucking dude. I'm not that fucking girl though. So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And having to reconcile those two lives essentially, and those two versions of that dude. That could probably be a chapter 1. Like I could make an argument for either one, but I remember making it a prologue specifically because it wasn't part of the main story. That snippet of life wasn't. Anyways, I found the title, by the way. It's Stronger, Faster, and More Beautiful. It is a sci-fi, and it's about like the future of technology and like cyborg technology and how much mechanical stuff can you have before you're not human anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he's interested in that kind of thing, but I don't know, it just gave me Zach vibes.
He might be. He's got a pretty wide variety that he likes. I was shocked with the whole romantasy thing though. I was like, oh.
I don't know if telling him that I recommended it's going to make him read it any faster or not, but like because it was unusual, it made me think of him. Like
I will say right now, I don't think he's doing a whole lot of reading for the sake of reading, because he is
school.
He's in school, Johns Hopkins, so lots of stuff there, and then he's also interning. at his dad's company. So he's like his
Schedule's full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that. I was like, there's a word. I don't know what the word is, but there is a.
Does he read physically or does he read electronically?
He does both.
Okay. Because part of me is like, when you come to see me, I will buy him this book and send it back with you, just so that he reads it when, like,
No,
during the holidays.
I'm so excited.
My niece is going to be there too, I think. So it's going to be a girls' girl get together. I don't know how long it's been since you've seen her, but she's 16 now. So
It has been, I want to say she was like a baby or a toddler. It's been a while.
and little Leo just turned 5.
Kayla just turned 25.
She's like a fully formed adult now. What the fuck?
Emma's about to turn 21.
Stop making me feel old. Stop it.
She's going on a cruise in December with her roommates. She's so excited. She was like, Mom, we got the drinks package.
Time for her to make some awful decisions like we did at that age. But not too awful. Bring protection.
She doesn't like people enough to make awful decisions.
That's what the alcohol's for.
I mean, she'll make awful decisions like not passing a class in college and lying to me about it, but
Oh, I totally did that too at her age. So, although I didn't really lie about it, but it was also only like $1,200 a semester. So, footsteps. It is 9:30.
not quite time yet. Got about 4 minutes before tablet shuts off.
Okay. So, have we talked enough about our? I know we've been talking about all sorts of other bookie stuff, but there's my cat. One that's a different cat. I have 5 of them. Is there anything that you were hoping to get done that you feel like is just going to be a 2026 problem?
Anything at all, or writing wise?
Writing, books, life, whatever.
You know what's crazy is that, like, when we moved out here, I was like, I'm going to have time on the weekends. I'll go down and see him in North Carolina. I'll go up to New York. I'll go see, I have a cousin out in Annapolis. I was like, I'm going to see everybody. And now I'm like, each weekend is just flying by. And I feel like I'm like running out of time to do things. I'm planning another trip to Florida, another Shark Tooth trip to Florida. Because I love shark teeth. I was supposed to go again the other day out on the Potomac. There's a few places where you can find them, and I've gone several times since we've been here, but I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to get up that early and drive that far in the dark by myself. But I want to go back down to Florida. I went in December by myself, and it was fantastic. I had no responsibilities. I was answerable to nobody. It was amazing. So I want to go again. I may or may not take back in the kids on this one. I don't know, but I want to go back up to Peace River. I want to check out. There's a couple of places like Relic Reef and the Bone Valley Fossil Farm. I want to go look there. Go back to Casperson Beach. It's the thing. If I go too long without looking for shark teeth, I start dreaming about the damn things. And then everything starts looking like a shark tooth. Like we went out on Saturday evening. We met up with my in-laws they have a absolutely beautiful English cream colored golden retriever. And so we took the kids and we met with this local park over there's a creek that runs through it, and they wanted to let her play in the water. And even as I'm looking at the ground, like little bits of dead leaves that are black and shiny and somewhat triangular shaped, I'm like, those look like shark teeth. But I know they're not because they aren't found here. So it's like, have to at some point go get my teeth fixed. But so there's that. And then just being able to spend time with everybody before we head overseas for the next couple of years is a big thing. Tomorrow I have to go into DC. I've got an orientation in the evening so that I can have access to use a community darkroom, which is exciting. I haven't been in a darkroom in months, so I'm looking forward to it.
God, it's been years.
And then there's some photo projects I'd like to. I mean, there's some stuff that I'd really like to get into photography wise, but it would require a lot of equipment and chemistry and money, and which is all fine and good, except we're leaving the country in less than a year.
There's no point in investing in it quite yet.
Yeah, well, and then my printer shit the bed. And so now I can't even print transparencies. So I do want to do some cyanotypes while I'm here. I know that, but that's fairly simple. There's a check. And I want to, I don't know if you ever heard of chlorophyll printing. But you can basically lay a transparency over a broad flat leaf and stick it out in the sun or under a UV lamp. And if you leave it long enough, it'll burn that picture onto the leaf, and then you can just paint it with resin. 30 minutes, okay? Because you have school tomorrow. But yeah, if you dry it right and you paint it with resin, the leaf will last forever.
That's cool.
Dang it. Oh, okay. Sometimes it wants my Google password. Sometimes it wants this like thing from, I don't know. But so yeah, I'd like to try those.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe teach my 6-year-old the definition of personal space. I don't know. Good night, baby. You're wasting your time on your tablet. Good night, I love you. That's never gonna. She's my Velcro child. Hannah was a Velcro child, and this one's a Velcro child.
She kind of looks like Hannah.
A little bit, yeah. She's got her attitude.
No, yeah, I saw that too.
So, you know, things like that, and you know, starting in the new year, I'd like to be focused on edits and getting ready for the query trenches.
I don't know much about the querying process. I did it a little bit a long time ago, and I'm probably not going to be as much help in that regard.
I've been doing a lot of research. So I've got like, oh, the light's on. I was like, I know it's dark. Why does it look like there's a light on my terrace? So I mean, you know, I'm following people who are really heavy into that and that side of the industry, and you know, taking advice as I get it. And I've started building a list of agents that I think will be worth querying. But that's kind of backburnered for right now until I finish this photography project. But I'm about a third of the way through those pictures with final edits. And then I've got, you know, the film that I've got to get developed, and I hate developing negatives, so I'm just gonna drop that off at a photo lab and have them scan my negatives into digital copies for me. And then just do like small prints so I can just kind of see where they're at and which ones I think are going to be worth enlarging before I go waste a bunch of expensive black and white photo paper.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the darkroom does not provide paper developer, so I'm going to have to get paper developer. But everything else I have. So, you know, it's just a lot of goals for, you know, my creative stuff, a lot of goals for myself. You know, I've put a lot of work into, you know, not just my physical fitness, but you know, how I'm doing emotionally over the last year. And that's not exactly linear, you know, there's peaks and valleys. So, you know, just trying to really get myself on as even of a keel as I can before I uproot everything that I know and move to the other side of the world.
This is going to come with its own time of adjustment and whatnot too. So
yeah, and even more so than we had anticipated, because I think that, you know, we'll have a ridiculous number of suitcases per person that we can take, so we'll have all of our clothes, and then we get a pallet of stuff that'll go on the plane. But I think, for the most part, we're not taking any of our furniture.
You're gonna be storing it in the meantime or selling it?
The army will store it.
That's
But
good.
it's weird to think of having to sort through. I've been building our home, no matter which house we live in. I've been building this home for our family for almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's weird to think about having to go through and cherry pick which items make this feel the most like home so that we can take those with us. But then also having to weigh that against, necessity and what do I think I can stand to lose if something goes wrong on the move. Because it's not uncommon for stuff to get damaged or completely destroyed. So like all of Hannah's paintings, my mom's going to hang on to all of those. Because I'm not going to risk taking them overseas. So, just weird little decisions like that. And I know it seems like there's a lot of time, but there's really not.
3.5 months left of this year. Yeah. I know I had a lot of big plans for this year, especially with the 6 month stuff. For social media has just got me. Like, I've had filmed and set up my TBR video for the last 20 days, and I just cannot voice over it and get it out. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't fucking do it. And I don't know if that's
needing to make another blog post. Like, I'm so bad about staying up with my website. So bad about it.
The blog. Like, I have rebranded a series that I need to go through all of my files and update all of my formatted files to upload. And I just haven't done that. I finally, yesterday, the day before, I think Sunday, I made all the little banners with the background and the cover on it for my please review this book page. And then I usually use it as a banner for social media or a blog post too. And I get one done at a time, which is better than getting none done. I will be fair about that to myself. But like, with all the things that I had done, like, that should have taken me a day or two to do, and it took me a month. So what the fuck am I doing with myself? I'm letting a lot of that stuff go. Again, finishing that one project is my main goal, but I would also like to, I was going to launch a new pen name this year, and I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to wait for 2026, even though I've written a story in it. I would like to set up all of the stories I have written this year. I've edited half of them. I just need to format them and cover them and put them out. If I could set myself up to do that. See, it sounds like, if I say it like that, it sounds easy, but what goes along with it is figuring out what the description is, what the keywords are, what launch I'm going to do, and then I have to upload a blog, and then I have to do a newsletter, and then I have to put it here, and I have to put it there, and I like all the things that go along with putting something out. And I'm like, I just want to get it all set up.
We even say that even when you have a smooth ride with like a cover artist, or you kind of have an idea of the direction you want to go in, even that can be like stressful, because you'll get what you think you want, and then you realize maybe it doesn't quite match the tone, or there's a lot that goes in there.
I make a lot of my own covers, especially for my erotica stuff, because it's not necessary to have somebody design something fancy for me. Like my covers, I have a mug with lipstick on it for one cover, and then I do the rest of the designing. And I have one that's a rolled up blue tie. Like, that's super easy to do those ones. I have been fiddling with AI for covers, which I know is not the best, but I'm testing out to see if this is working to sell, because I honestly don't think most readers give a shit. And then I would pay for someone to do it better once I figure out what's working.
Yeah.
Right now, that's the stage I'm in, is trying the designs that I'm not going to pay $500 free to try out each design. It's just not feasible. It's a 14-book series, especially. So I've been slowly working on doing that too. But I have a cover designer that I used for my Ria's books, my Blood Phoenix one. And I designed my other one too. I actually rather enjoyed how it came out, my Loving Red, because I did layers. where there's ivy running through the words, and so sometimes it's over the words and sometimes it's under the words and stuff like. So like I had a lot of fun doing that because I know how to do that, which yay for me for that. I have a little bit of design experience. But for the more complex one, like the 5th book that I want to do in Ria's series, which I was hoping to have reread all of that series. Maybe I do that around Christmas. That would be nice to reread all of the books, because that's not like, it's very time consuming, if that makes sense. It's not the same as having to write a book. I had wanted to start outlining her book this year. I'm going to push that off to 2026. It's her last book. I'm going to get a real cover for it too.
I feel like to some degree it takes a little bit more discipline to read your own books, though, because you know what happens. You
I don't
created
remember everything though now.
I know, but like as you're reading, right? As you're going in, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, and oh maybe this wasn't one of my favorites. So you got to have the discipline to actually like
read it.
Well,
it's kind of like an assignment for me, because I'm going to be taking notes while I do it, because I want to make sure in book 5 is the last book in the series. So I have to make sure I write down every story thread and make sure it's got, if it needs a conclusion, that it has a conclusion. I mean, not every one of them is going to, but most of them should. So that's my assignment when I'm reading. Also to write down hooks and stuff to help promote, because I should do TikTok, but I don't. I should.
I'm so bad about that too. I have I have a personal TikTok and I have an author TikTok. And do I post on either one of them regularly? No.
I need to send you a video about somebody who did really well with it. And that's why I need to read the books, is because I don't know how to create the hooks she's talking about. With so much distance between me, because that first book I wrote and published in 2014.
Right. It's been a while.
And I don't even know how long it's been since I published book 4. But if I could get those prepared, she changes, like tweaks little things about it each time. So once she finds something that works, and that's what I need to do, is I just need to find something that works and have that set up. But it's too much for the end of this year, especially with things changing at work and the writing burnt out. I'm waiting for my book to come back to me. I should have it in the next 2 days to actually start writing it, but oh my goodness.
I don't even have a plan for Christmas this year. I always have a plan for Christmas. I don't have one this year.
My plan for Christmas is usually to stay home, because Jason's birthday is the day before.
So we were invited to go with the in-laws to Brazil.
I remember that.
Yeah, because my husband's stepbrother is getting married in the spring, and his family from Brazil is probably not going to be able to make it, so they're doing a whole big thing. My father-in-law is running a beach house in recently, and it's supposed to be a whole big stew. And they offered to buy the tickets for the little, so it would just be getting the tickets for me and Zach. But oh my god, that shit is ruinously expensive. And it is a long flight.
How long of a flight is it?
So from here, I want to say it was something like, with minimal stops, it was something like 21, 22 hours. Yeah.
That's a long time. And
then like from here to Tokyo was like 12. Like it's because the Earth's not a perfect sphere, right? So it's like this. So if you're going from northern to southern hemispheres, whereas if you're staying in the northern hemisphere, you just loop up around the North Pole and you're good.
Okay.
Flight paths are a very strange thing.
I remember it being like 8 or 9 hours to England. So yeah.
That depends too, like, because if you're going from here to Europe, you can go much faster looping up north, but if you just go straight across, it takes a bit longer. Because I know when we flew, I want to say it was like a 6.5 or a 7-hour flight from Maine to Germany.
I went from Syracuse over, so I don't know. That was 2010.
Yeah. Well, it was a year or two after I stopped in Europe on my way to Iraq, but
And of course, military flights are a little bit more direct too. So
Yeah.
most of the time.
But we flew from Texas to Maine, and then from Maine to Germany, Germany to Kuwait, and then Kuwait to Iraq. Way back, it was the same thing, except instead of Germany, it was Ireland.
I loved Ireland. I want to live in Ireland.
Speaking of my time in Iraq,
You still
I still have them. I do, despite my two little crotch goblins trying their best to steal them from me over the years. Still have them.
I still remember making that package to send to you over there.
That was awesome. That was so much fun.
Oh, Lord. All right. I don't know. I think it's time for, I have work. I have one more thing for work to do. So I'm gonna have to go do that. We talked a little bit about goals, a lot of other stuff. Books.
Goals.
I do think
it's so easy to just like take an avoidant approach.
I mean, this is what comes from being friends for so long. Like we just go off on stuff.
Vibe.
There are two things I would like for us to do by the end of this year. One is I would love if we read a writing book together, like a chapter every so often, and just like discuss it. I think that would be fun. I think people would like that. I also would like to read an actual fiction book with you, one that is popular that we're both interested in, or maybe interested enough in, and we don't have to be like gaga over it, and kind of dissecting why it's popular, what makes it popular, what makes it work, what makes it not work, because not all of them are perfect.
And whether or not we agree.
Yeah.
And whether it should be popular.
I think that would be fun. And I think picking something close-ish to our genres is going to be helpful in that regard too. But I think also just like educational for us and for other people. So those are goals for us to do during this time.
Did you have a writing book in mind?
I do need to get some of yours, but I was suggested this book from my boss, who was she was making pretty good money writing, and one of her friends makes pretty good money writing, and so she, I don't know if you can see,
7-figure fiction.
Yes, this is the one with the butter in it. I was telling you about, like, what's the butter of your story?
Gotcha.
And it's relatively short. It's like 168 pages, and that's with some quick references in here. So,
oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, I think it was $10 to get this book. So, I'd love to read this with you. I want to get, what was it, Story Genius? Is one of the ones that you have? I want to buy that one too, so I would love to do that as well. But I think this would keep us.
I know my camera's all, but I have Story Genius, and then this one is kind of like my.
And I think I have that somewhere, but I'm not sure.
As you can see, I
tabbed it all to pieces.
Yes, which I never do. I don't do that. That's not a thing that I do. I've been tabbing this one a bit too, but I still haven't made it all the way through this one.
Well, tabbing for reference, because this is a reference book, and these are references, is much different than I feel like tabbing fiction books are.
But then I've also got these. So on writing and world building, volumes 1 through 3. And they all cover slightly different topics too. It's actually really, like, it's great information. I've finished the first one, have not started on the second. I've got 30 Days of World Building, a fantasy writer's handbook.
If I could turn you to show you my reference shelf. Now, granted, half of the reference shelf is from teaching English comp, and so I have a lot of English comp books over there. But I also have like master degree in English for Dummies and creative writing for dummies and stuff like that. And I have all the ones that I had to buy for school too,
right?
About writing and craft. But I think if we picked one, depending on the length, like one a quarter, one a month, whatever, it would be really helpful to us to actually be accountable to get through these, because it never hurts to learn more about how to write.
No,
like, I might have been doing this for fucking decades now.
I feel like even if you don't necessarily want to write, it can make you a better reader too.
Mm-hmm. better marketer, better the whole package, and that's what we need.
Mhm.
So we should always be advancing. So I think this will be good for us in
You know
general.
what's interesting too is like the comparison. I think, we could easily draw some comparisons back to the conversation that we had a few days ago, with the reference books, like which ones are designed to make you a better writer and which ones are designed to make you a better storyteller.
I think most of the ones from my master's degree would be to be a better writer.
Yeah, whereas all of mine are all about storytelling.
Which I feel like is both are important, but I feel like storytelling is more important than writing is, because you can always make writing better.
That and you're like, I consider you to be my better writer Bible.
I'm gonna catch the things that are gonna make it better. I mean, I've been rewriting for people for so long. I know I always reference back to college teaching, but like I literally rewrote half of their essays, I swear to God. Because I'm like, this is what you mean, and this is how you fucking say it. Because what you said made no sense, but I understood you, and this is how you say it. Sorry. And I do that to authors too. I've had more than 200 and something authors that I've worked with that I'm like, this is what you mean. It's not what you said, but this is what you mean. Did I ever tell you? I'm sorry, because this is a funny story, and I probably told you to you before. But we had a friend who was doing her master's application in psychology, and it was like a 5 or 6 page paper. And she's like, would you read it real fast? I'm like, 5 or 6 pages. That's like, it'll take me 20 minutes, whatever. And so I'm sitting there and I start marking things on it like I do, And I get to the page 4 or something. And she's like, you've made a lot of marks on it. And I look back, I'm like, oh, like 4 or 5 a page. That's like, for me, that's not bad. Like, that means this is pretty good.
Before anybody that might be watching, because I can't tell how many people are watching right now, but before anybody that's watching gets the wrong idea, it's not that she's going to go through and pick everything apart and be like, you did this wrong, this is bad, don't do that. And no. There have been many times where I'll read through edits that she sent me and I'm like, comma, what is this? Comma, love this! Like all caps,
So, it's little negative stuff, half of it's grammar. But like, marking out something that's 3 words and making it 1 word instead, that kind of thing. And that's most of what like my comments did. She goes, I thought it was good. I'm like, it was good. Like, if it wasn't good, I had to rip this thing apart. You've never, that was the caveat I had to do to my students. I'm like, no, this looks like a lot of comments, but if you didn't do it right, I wouldn't have written anything. So
I love it when you rip my writing apart though, because I feel like, first of all, I know you. I know you have my best interest at heart. I know you want to see me be successful, but also like you want my story to be as good as it can be. And I have every faith in that. So when I get back a lot of commentary from you, I get excited because I know that that's the goal. Mm-hmm. Right. And I know that that's been a concern in the past with, some other authors that you've worked with where they get all upset because you marked everything up. I'm like, why did you hire her to edit your stuff?
It's a thing. I do think for us, where I'm going to start is doing, it's not going to be like editing like you think it, like I've done for you before, where the story was pretty close to done to begin with. It's probably going to be a book critique / developmental. Like, so I might not be making a lot of marks in it, but I'm like, this is what I noticed of the story plot. This might not have fit, or you might think about this, or this is unfinished. It's going to be bigger notes versus smaller things, because you have to get those things in place to begin with. So,
right.
And it's not something I generally do a lot of. I don't do a lot of developmental editing, but it will be fun to flex that part of my skills and see.
I really I kind of thought that was where we would want to start, because we've had the conversation about, character voice and being able to differentiate them, because to my head, they sound different, but I'm not sure that comes across as well as I think it does on paper. So that was actually something that I was going to bring up to you, whether we talked about it beforehand or whether we talked about it in New York, would be, where do you feel like we should start with it, given that you haven't read it yet and I'm not finished with it yet? But for some reason, I really thought it was going to be developmental. So that's funny.
I mean, that makes the most sense especially with your first book, to be able to go through and for all I fucking know, that I might not actually have too many developmental edits, and they might be like a few things here, and then we can go through and I will give you a word list to do in edits or something like that, like I have, that I go through in my process. And then I might have you like the step before you give it to me for final edits would be reading it out loud to somebody, even just to yourself, because you would not imagine how much that helps to be able to hear it out loud.
I know, but I hate reading out loud.
I mean, when I first started reading things out loud to my mom, first when I wrote my vampire books, and we get to the sex scene and I'd like talk real fast through it, and then I read the full erotica series to my mom, and I'm pretty used to reading things out loud now. Like I can read pretty much anything and it not disturb me.
I have some family members who have expressed an interest in reading this book, and I'm like, are you sure?
Get all the feedback you can.
But because like I know their personalities and how they are. Mm-hmm. So what I might do is try to weasel my way into, even if I just print it myself, like when we're done with edits and I'm ready for querying, like just do a couple of bound copies to give to family, but take out the explicit scenes.
Or mark the explicit scenes and be like, if you're feeling froggy for them, here they are. But if not, skip to this chapter.
Yeah.
You thinking like your mom or something, or?
No, my mom's fine with it. But like, I have an aunt on my dad's side that wants to read it, and my uncle made some. I'm just like, because here's the thing, right? And I say this sort of jokingly because, I'm not trying to, make anybody think that, if they're part of the community that I'm just trying to profit off of it, because that's not the case at all. It's supposed to be an expression between my characters, and that's what it is. But I made the joke to my mom that, it's an explicit book because sex sells and kink sells better. Like,
it's the truth. Talking to an erotica author here, so like, I mean,
so I really want to hand that to some of my conservative relatives. I don't know.
That is fair. I get that. I would laugh my ass off if my conservative family got a hold of it, like if they wanted to say anything, because I'm like, y'all have kids, so you know how this works, right?
Right.
When you love each other, this is what happens.
Once you're still fully clothed under the covers with the lights on. Yeah.
I think my most conservative family member used to be a wild child, so.
They usually are.
Yeah, my grandmother used to read my stuff while she still could. Like, she had every one of my books. So.
At some point I got to get around to getting a full set of all your books. I don't have them all.
I've recovered quite a few of them too, so there's that. I think it's funny though, like when I talk about that, like my grandmother read a lot of my books, like, and pretty much until she couldn't read anymore. Even though she said she couldn't read them at night because they'd give her nightmares, because it wasn't the sex that got her, it was the violence that got her. But she's like, after a while I skim the sex scenes. It's all the same anyways. Because the first romance book I ever got, I got from my grandmother. I was 12 or 14 or something like that. And I reread it recently too, to see if it held up to what I remembered it. Not quite as much. Like I obviously did not get some of the shit that was going on when I was that young.
Have you ever heard, there's an old bodice ripper author. Her name was Bertrice Small. So one of hers was the first one that I ever read, and it was a medieval historical romance. And like, I've gone back and I've reread it since then, just kind of out of nostalgia. And I kind of have to chuckle at some of the verbiage that she uses. Like, very like, you read it and you think to yourself, like, somebody who uses a voice like that doesn't seem like the type of person who would write stuff like this, you know? But then she's got another series, a fantasy series, that's like, for the time that it was written in, is whoo, it's out there, you know? And I remember reading through it going, because she's not, you know, she was not a modern author. She was.
Is this something I need to read?
Yeah, you might actually like it. It's
I do like sex in my books, but as I think I told you last time, there was one book where I'm like, all right, I get it. They had sex a lot. Like, there's too much. I like it when the sex creates more depth between the characters' relationships.
Yeah. So she had. It's called The World of Hetar, Hetar. That was the name of the series. Her fantasy series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. And I won't say that, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think that a lot of the intimacy was just gratuitous. I think, like, for overarching plot, it all served a purpose. I think to some extent, how she worked that as part of the purpose may have fallen a little bit flat. But then again, I mean, she wrote like Lara, the first one. That one came out in. There's no way that was released in 2005. I call bullshit.
What's the name of the series again?
The World of Hetar.
The World of Qatar?
It's Hetar, Hetar.
Gotcha. I found it. Now, where are you looking that it was published when?
It just says released 2005 on the website, but
it says it on Goodreads too, 2005.
Oh, maybe that's just my cognitive dissonance with not thinking the beginning of the millennium was that far back. And
I mean, that was 20 years ago.
But it's also like, if you like, just the way that she writes feels very old-fashioned. You know?
I've got that on there now.
It's a very interesting series.
I'll add it to my list. My ever-growing list. Because you know I'm a book club whore. So like I have probably 1,500 ebooks just sitting on my,
I'm sure I do too. I
don't know. And then I have about 1,000 books in my physical library. Probably more now because I get the book boxes.
So when I first started with ebooks, I started with an app called Kobo. And when I first started reading with them, like, you know, you didn't have to pay to use the app. Books cost money, obviously. But they were usually cheaper than you could find them on Amazon. And this was back when you had to buy a Kindle to use Kindle, you know? And I didn't want to do that. And you earned points with every purchase. So it was like, you know, if you bought a book for $7.99, you'd earn 79 points. And as points built up, hello again, child. As points built up, you could use those points and redeem them on books. And so I grew quite the library.
I get that.
No, absolutely not. It is 10 o'clock at night. I am not giving you soda. I'm already a bad mom giving you more screen time. What is happening?
What are you doing?
Well, none of the keyboard doesn't want to show up. There we go.
Walking how you do it so I know how to do it.
If you figure that out, I will change the password.
Well, guess what?
I will give you 30 more minutes. But then you're done for the night. It is 10 o'clock, and you're already going to give me hell about getting up to go to school in the morning. Love me. All right, you feral little beast, go to bed. I love you. Good night.
Very little beast.
She is. She's very feral.
But because it's 9 and I go to bed in an hour, I need to go do my work. So we will catch up next time. I don't know what we'll talk about. Let's talk about some of our pet peeves, and we can also rant about some more tropes next time too, since we halfway talked about that. And that happens to be one of your pet peeves. So we'll talk about that next time. I can't wait to tell you about some of the pet peeves I've been having reading dark romance books for the box that we're doing. So I'm reading samples and I'm like, does there have to be a rape in every first chapter? Like, is this necessary? This romanticizing rape.
Because I could go on and on and on about that.
Not to get us started again, but like, that's been my day. Has been reading. I read 4 book samples, and every one of them did not have it. Out of the 4, one of them did not have a rape scene in the first chunk sample.
I think there are, we'll get into that next week.
Yeah. Write it down. Jot it down for next time. Well, honey, I love you and I moo you.
Love you.
All right. I don't know who's seeing this later, but y'all have a good night. And I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.